What is happening, everybody? So today is the day we climb up Ben Nevis. Three Peak Challenge starts here. Probably had the most horrendous drive up last night. Thought it was going to take 8 hours. Actually took what, like 12, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We had like 4 hours of traffic. So we've had maybe 2 and a bit hours sleep, maybe 3 hours sleep in total, with little naps in between. And 5:45 a.m. the 24 hours started, and we're on our way up and hoping to get this done in 5 hours, up and down, straight back in the car and on to the next one. So far this morning all I've had is a banana, and at some point I'm going to be calling out for loads of coffee. .45, time begins. It's a race to the top. That's the bottom. I don't know, what do you reckon we are, like a quarter of the way? I don't know, an hour in.
It's about 8 miles.
Right. So first hour in, just got over a really steep flat. It's a perfect opportunity to do a little bit of filming. So far, so good. Weather's alright. I was expecting the weather to be terrible. The views are absolutely amazing. But if I just keep going, as soon as you stop, it's just yeah, it's pretty incredible. There it is, the end. Just up there. 2.5 hours nearly to the top. That was tough. Just walking along the last nice little bit of flat right at the peak, but the views are unreal. Little pit stop at the top and then back down, hopefully do it in an hour and a half. What is happening, everybody? So we are at Scafell Pike. It was about a 4-hour drive over here, and to be honest, after Ben Nevis, like, I had a cold when I started this, and I'd been trying all week to get rid of this cold, and when I started Ben Nevis, I could feel it on my chest. And Ben Nevis was tough. It was much tougher than I thought it was going to be. To be honest, I had no idea how hard this was going to be. Underestimated it maybe, had no idea what was sort of in for. Managed to do it in a really good time. We got up and down, up in 2.5 hours, down in just under 2.5 hours, like 2 hours 15 minutes. I think that's like 10 miles, and it is steep, and you're clambering up and down a lot of rocks. But when we got to the bottom, I was absolutely done. I was dead and felt so rough. My chest and that, I was coughing. Obviously, as you got nearer to the top, it got quite cold, and you're pushing your body, so you're tired. You're going from hot to cold. You're sweating, and I got to the top and. I got back down, I felt so rough. I had no appetite and didn't feel like eating anything. And then we got in the car and started moving. Still felt really rough. I had a banging headache. And then basically ended up having to tell them to pull over, and I basically projectile vomited everywhere. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the cold that I've got. Look, it's just made me feel 10 times worse. Or if it was dehydration or pushed my body too much or sugar levels or what, I don't know. And also we've had a huge lack of sleep. I mean, I've only had, before we did the walk, we'd only had 2 hours sleep in nearly 24 hours because of the drive up and everything was such a nightmare. So I'd been sleeping and stuff. They'd let me sleep a little bit more because I felt so rough, I was really pale, feeling a little bit better now, but I could not face doing the next one, Scafell Pike. I got here and I was I really, really want to do it. Mentally I could do it, but my body is absolutely wrecked and I still feel quite nauseous. I didn't want to get part of the way up and feel even worse, and I didn't want to slow them down. So I'm really annoyed, but I've chosen to sit out this one because I also don't want to make myself ill. I don't want it to turn into a chest infection or something worse. But I am absolutely gutted because I'm currently sitting in the car. I've had a bit of a nap and I'm watching people come and go, and it's really, really pissed me off. Look, I've had to do this because there was nothing more that I wanted to do than be able to go up there and do that. But my body, nauseous. It's just, I don't think it's the right thing to do. So I'm going to wait for them guys to come back down. I'm going to try and get some more sleep, and then we're going to drive over to Snowdon. Got about another 4-hour drive, and then I'm probably going to give that one a crack. I'm hoping I'll feel way better by then. Been drinking more water. But yeah, a minute after I was sick, and I mean projectile vomited 3 or 4 times, I was nah, no more. I'm just going to end up becoming really ill. It was really weird. I wasn't sure if it was dehydration. I felt like I drank a lot, but I don't know. It's really hard to tell, but I am so annoyed about it. So this here is the start of Scafell Pike, and you head up that path there, I think. And it's up there. You can't see it because that top bit, I think, is coming out. So I'm pretty sure that is the top of Scafell Pike. But again, look at the views around here. They are just unbelievable. Absolutely unreal. So I've had a bit of a nap and I've been drinking tons and tons of water to try and see if it was dehydration. I feel so much better. I've been going to the toilet a couple of times, so that's good. And I'm definitely going to be doing the next one because I feel a million times better. I think it might have been dehydration, maybe and a little bit of sleep deprivation, possibly a little bit of cold, but I feel unbelievably better. And now, if we were starting this one now, I'd 100% go because I feel like a completely different person. But unfortunately, they're probably going to be down within the next hour, so it's not a good idea to start rushing up now. So we're finally at the last chapter. Obviously you can't see nothing, but hey ho, we're here. So last one. Daytime, and we have been up and down there at night, so this is the first time that it's light. But where those clouds are in that dark bit, that's where we've come from. And now we're heading back on a long slog. But look at that view again. Unreal. everybody. So, back from the Three Peaks. What a weekend. What a 24 hours. What a 48 hours. It was challenging, fun, really hard work. At times I regretted it, but it's now 2 days later. My calves are finally starting to work properly again. Walking up and down the stairs for the past day has been very, very interesting after all of that mountain climbing. But at the time, at the top, when I'd finished, I was like, never again. When I got back down, I was exhausted. I was like, I'm never ever going to do that again. But do you know what? 2 days later, I'm kind of thinking, you know what, if someone said to me this weekend, do you want to go and do it again? I would seriously consider it, because looking back on it, it was amazing. It was so much fun. It challenged me way more than I thought it would. I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea how hard it was going to be. I thought it was possibly going to be a little bit easier than it was. Obviously, I figured it out. I think it was dehydration that completely screwed me. I was sweating an awful lot on the way up, coming off the back of 2 hours sleep. Only had a banana to eat. Probably didn't consume enough water. In hindsight, on that first mountain, what I probably should have done was got up in the morning, drunk like a litre of water before I even got started. I was drinking water on the way up, but it obviously wasn't enough, and you're pushing your body way harder than you probably normally would at that time in the morning on such little sleep. So when I got back down to the bottom of that one, wasn't feeling that great. Thought it was because of my cold, but I actually think it was just dehydration, and still really disappointed that I was too sick to do Scafell Pike. But without a doubt, I will be going back to Scafell Pike to do that one. So at least I've done all three. When we finished, I asked my two cousins what they thought about Scafell Pike, and they actually said that that one was a lot easier than Snowdon and Ben Nevis. We thought that Snowdon was going to be easier than it was. I mean, we got to Snowdon at 1:30 in the morning. I didn't get a huge amount of footage at Snowdon, but we started it at 1:30 in the morning. It was pitch black. We had head torches on, so you can kind of just about see where your head torch was, and that's all you could see was like in that little circle of your feet in front. And then you could just about see the people in front of you with their head torches. When we got up to the top of Snowdon, the mist and fog was unbelievable. You couldn't see someone that was like 4 foot away. It was that thick. So that was quite scary. Snowdon was challenging because I thought that Snowdon was going to be a lot easier because it's a lot more commercial, and I think out of the three, it's the one that people tend to do more. But then we found out that there's actually 2 different routes. There's the Three Peaks route, and then there's another route which is maybe a more commercial route where the paths are a lot wider and the surfaces are more flat, and it basically just loops round gradually up to the top. Whereas the Three Peaks route, which we did, is you get to the top faster, it's more direct, but it's a lot steeper, and there was actually some proper scrambling over rocks involved. At points it actually felt like you was literally kind of rock climbing a little bit. The challenging bit about the dark was that you couldn't see the route ahead of you, so there was a few times that we kind of went off the beaten track and then had to scramble and climb over rocks to get back onto the pathway, and it wasn't until we started coming back down that sun started to rise, and then you could really see the path clearly, and we actually realised that at one point right near the top we strayed right off the path because we was virtually rock climbing, and I said at the time, this can't be the route. There is no way that this is the route because this bit is so difficult. I mean, it was like you was using your hands and your feet to climb this bit, and I thought if I slip, then I'm not going to fall to my death, but I'm going to fall backwards and I'm going to hit a few rocks on the way down and seriously hurt myself. So that was a challenge in itself, but it was great fun. Like I said, looking back, absolutely loved it. Calves have just started to recover. Still getting over the cold that I had. We drove home after finishing Snowdon at, I think it was 5:30 in the morning. So we finished it in 24 hours with 15 minutes to spare. We started at 5:45 on Saturday morning and finished it at 5:30 on Sunday morning. The hardest part about the whole thing was the lack of sleep, because we chose to drive ourselves. So we was taking it in turns, driving in between. It was about a 4-hour drive from mountain to mountain, which was challenging. Whereas a lot of other people there, they were kind of on minibuses, they had a tour guide. So that made it a whole lot more challenging, because you didn't get much sleep within that time. We was kind of doing an hour and a half stints of driving each, and sleeping in the car is not the most comfortable thing. So you don't get a huge amount of sleep as a passenger. So that made things a lot more challenging. I think I could have consumed way more food than I did, but we did it. It was good fun. If you're looking for a challenge, then I would definitely recommend doing it. The views were phenomenal and out of this world. The views were unbelievable. At the top of the first one, Ben Nevis, when I got to the top, that was probably one of the steepest ones, and it just seemed to go on for ages. But when I got to the top, I got a little bit emotional, because ever since what happened to Henry, I wanted to do some kind of challenge, and this is why I was so damn annoyed that I got ill before we did Scafell Pike. And I wanted, the Three Peaks was something that popped up in my mind. I don't know why. I wanted a challenge. Originally I was going to raise money for it, but then decided against that. So when I got to the top, I got quite emotional, because since we lost Henry, I'd been thinking about doing that challenge. I wanted to push myself. I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. I wanted to feel a little bit of pain almost. So when I got to the top of there, it's weird, because the views around you are amazing. You're just in this place where the sky is just, it's unbelievable. But when I got to the top, all I could think about was him, and got quite emotional with it. But it was just the best experience ever. So if you're looking for a challenge, then I would definitely recommend going to do that. And looking back now, would I do it again in a few years' time? Hell yes, I would do that again. I would learn from the mistakes of this one, be a little bit more prepared. Probably wouldn't necessarily do the driving ourselves. Probably look at getting maybe a bigger group of people, or just hiring like a tour guide driver or something to do the driving, so then you get a full amount of rest in between the mountains. But without a doubt, I want to go back and do it again, because I want to do all three. And I will not make the same mistake of getting dehydrated on the first one, and will not make the same mistake of having to have a 13-hour drive up, 2 hours sleep, and starting again. In hindsight, looking back, what we should have done was either left a lot earlier on that Friday, or driven up the night before, got a full night's sleep, had a decent breakfast in the morning, and then started. So we maybe didn't start things on the best of feet, but we did it, and wanted to show you guys. I wanted to get more footage, but at the time when you're in there, you're doing it, you're rushing so much, it's very hard to get the camera out, stop. You're kind of racing against the clock, you're exhausted. To be honest, it's probably the last thing I was kind of thinking about at times, was whacking my camera out and talking to the camera, because you're tired, you're rushing, you can't necessarily talk while holding the camera, because you have to watch your feet the whole time. Going down was actually in some ways more challenging than going up, because it's all rocks, it's a very uneven surface, there's waterfalls running down in between the rocks, so the rock faces are a little bit wet, so you really have to watch your feet, otherwise you'll slip. I did slip over once. Luckily with my rucksack on, that kind of took the brunt of the force, because I landed slap bang on my back on a rock. But if I hadn't had that rucksack on, I think it would have hurt a lot more. That's just where surface was a little bit wet, went to tread on a rock, foot slipped, went backwards. So using the camera on that was incredibly hard. So that's why I didn't get as much footage, particularly on the last one, as I wanted to, but also because we did 50% of it in pitch black, so you couldn't see much anyway. So that is the end of that. That is the end of the Three Peaks. I will forever remember that. It was an amazing challenge, and I would say that I probably will do it again. Without a doubt, I will be travelling back to them individually and just enjoying the route up a lot more, taking in the views, stopping, getting more pictures, getting more footage, of the amazing views that you see. The problem with doing the 3 peaks is you don't necessarily get a chance to take all that in because you're rushing so much. But without a doubt, I'll go back to all 3 of them individually and climb them solo, just so I can get some beautiful pictures and some amazing footage. Again, didn't really get a chance to use the drone much because it's stopping, getting it out, setting it up, so I 100% want to go back to do those things. Anyway, that is the end of that vlog, and I will see you guys in the next one.